I went ahead and took this book from my brother's library. Great Ages of Man, Byzantium. I'll go ahead and read page 93 and 94 and draw some similarities. Here's one of the pages. You can get a lot from pictures like that. Mosaics, paintings, how they, show things to be important. Where people's eyes are looking when they hold stuff and when they pass things on to other people. On page 93 it says, the holy establishment, and some of the similarities here are inside of the scientific establishment today. I'll go ahead and read this out. As Constantine approached Rome in 312 AD to fight his decisive battle at the Milvian Bridge with Maxentius, the rival emperor in the west, he is said to have had a revelation. It was a revelation crucial for subsequent European history. Some accounts say Constantine saw a luminous cross in the sky. Others say only that he had a dream, as a result of which he was led to inscribe a new sign on his banner. Later, this was elaborated into a declaration that he had a vision of the Christian cross inscribed with the words, "In this sign, conquer." In any case, what Constantine dreamed or saw was a Christian sign, and it was under the protection of this sign that he won his decisive victory. After this battle, Constantine counted himself a Christian, and in the spirit he began the process of transforming the pagan empire into a Christian empire, even though he did not himself receive Christian baptism until he was on his deathbed 25 years later. Imperial favor was granted the Christian church. Properties confiscated from it during the time of persecution were restored, and Christianity's right to legal status was affirmed. In the very nature of Constantine's conversion lay the seeds of later conflict in the religious structure of Byzantium. For Constantine had not come to Christianity in a normal way. He had come to it, so he believed, through the direct revelation and intervention of God himself. As a liturgical text from the hymn sung on the day of Constantine's feast put it, like Paul, he received a call not from man. His conversion, moreover, was not like that of a private citizen. It was the conversion of an emperor. This meant that in Constantine's view, and in the view of others who came to believe like him, both the emperor and the imperial structure of which he was the head had been directly chosen and consecrated by God. The emperor and the empire had received a divine blessing, and from then on were under the direct protection of the cross. It became clear, however, that if the well-being of the state depended on its submission to its protector, the cross, then its officials and citizens could not very well hold beliefs that were radically opposed to Christianity. In fact, the persecution of pagans began during Constantine's reign and continued in the reign of his sons. In 341, pagan sacrifices were forbidden. In 353, the cults of idols were declared illegal and temples were closed. And in the reign of Theodosius the Great, 379 to 395, Christianity was declared the official religion of the state and the faith required of Byzantine citizens. This adoption of a compulsory state religion was in part the result of a growing need for a strong unifying force in an empire that embraced a diversity of peoples and that was besieged by dissension from within and by barbarian invasions from without. In pagan Rome, such a unifying force had been to some extent provided by the practice of emperor worship. Prostration in the presence of an emperor and the burning of incense before his statue were acts of political allegiance to the divine head of state. Could not Christianity now be used to foster unity in somewhat the same way? The church readily agreed, rejoicing in its new status and tempted by the vision of a Christian society in which men were brought to salvation by law as well as grace. And the reason why I wanted to go over this is that there are a lot of similarities with the establishment in scientific terms these days. The salvation for people is by law and by grace, acceptance into groups, political and socioeconomic groups. The law being the laws of thermodynamics, or the laws of inertia, or the laws of this, the laws of that. And they have certain scientific laws you have to abide by before you get acceptance into those groups. And it brought everybody together because it was being besieged by dissension from within. Basically, he wanted everybody to have a compulsory religion, everybody think along the same line, and that was similar to the standard models of fusion, the standard models of particle physics, the standard models of planet formation, the standard everything. And then the dissension, the outsiders of those groups were being rejected and tossed out, because you can't have dissension and have everybody think along the same lines, all believe the same things. As well, they needed everybody to think along the same lines because of barbarians from the outside coming in and attacking. They needed everybody to be of the same mindset. Think of like Americans. My culture is the American flag is something to be respected, and America is, badass, because we have cultures from every single continent that made America. We have Chinese, we have Irish, we have Japanese, we have Mexicans, we have Italians, we have the French. Every single culture in the world made the United States the way it is today. That's basically the reason why United States is brought up as the best country in the world, because we have the entire world here. We have everybody. Everybody came here to make this country. But anyways, that's basically the idea there, is that they needed to have a single way of looking at things. That way they could crush dissent internally, and they could fend off the outsiders that were trying to attack and overthrow certain areas of that group. And if they had a single unifying culture, that they could prevent that a lot easier. And that's what scientific establishment does these days, is everybody believes in plate tectonics. If there's any outsiders, well, we can reject them because they're just, cranks or crackpots, and they won't threaten the careers of those who teach this plate tectonics model. It goes the same for the standard particle physics models, where you all believe in quarks, and you all believe in the Higgs boson, and you all believe in neutrinos, even though a lot of it is pseudoscience. That way, if there's any other competing idea, they don't threaten the careers of those who work at the LHC and that smash these supposed particles together and know how to magically interpret them based off of photon information alone. They protect themselves in these huge groups, and then nobody can question them. And it makes them more powerful in a sense, but at the same time, it allows for pseudoscience to be perpetuated in ways never before seen in the history of humanity. But that's something that needs to be corrected in the future. But anyways, I just wanted to point that out, that there's a lot in this book, a lot of the ideas, a lot of the old school things that have happened in the past. They repeat themselves over time. You can look for similarities. But that's a weird painting. Check that out. The dude looks like he has some issues. But anyways, today is September 15th, 2016. Later, y'all.